Just take me a few seconds, folks, and there we are.
Right.
Okay, so good afternoon all, and thank you very much for attending the webinar. My name's Daryl, as Sam said, and I'm one of the founders of Questos. What is Questos, you might say? Well, let me give you a little bit of background. First of all, the people here, all of you that are on the webinar, are all accounting technician professionals. That's what you do. You look after companies and you look after their accounts. Now, the way I see it, there is an opportunity here for accounting technicians and also accountants to look at company secretarial work, not being the company secretary per se of companies, but to actually do the work. So in addition to bookkeeping, in addition to people looking at tax, in addition to general accounting, the services can be offered for company secretariat. Now, by that, I don't mean listed companies, and obviously that heavy duty, like a company like Newcrest Mining, where the company secretary would be and is a lawyer. These are companies that are usually limited by guarantee or small proprietary limited companies, the very target market that you people do work with. For example, there are roughly 2.3 million companies in Australia at this point in time, and 800,000 of them are not-for-profits. Those not-for-profits are generally companies limited by guarantee. What invariably happens is that people that go on the boards of these companies and become the company secretary of these companies aren't lawyers themselves, nor are they accountants or accounting technicians. But they find themselves in a world of regulation where they're meant to keep records, kind of things that we do, keep records, and invariably they don't get done or done badly or done manually on a piece of paper. When I've taken over roles as a company secretary, I've usually asked for, can I have the copies of the meetings for the last 2 years? Can I have all your registers? And I'll get this blank look. Oh, I think Fred's got them. It would be the usual answer. So companies don't generally keep good records. So someone has to keep the records for them. Now, the degree of complexity with the smaller companies is a lot less. So invariably what Questos is, it is a company secretary in a box for small to medium enterprises. AKA, you could do the company secretary work for your clients. Now, you wouldn't be the company secretary. The company secretary would rely on you to do the recording. And the recording would be done in the cloud, and it becomes a permanent record. So that should the regulator, be it ASIC or ACNC, want to see the company records, it's just a matter of giving them a sign-on, and they're all there. Can be found all in one place. And so can the directors, so can the company secretaries, and so can you. So you can see on your screen, it says company regulatory obligations in one place, and that's exactly what it's about. But remember, this software is for small proprietary limited companies and companies limited by guarantee. It is not for large companies in any way, shape or form. There is different software for that, and it usually carries a lot more regulation, which is something that none of us want to get into. So what does Questos do? Questos replaces all of the regulatory books for these companies in terms of all the resolutions of the board, all of the board minutes, AGM minutes. It sends out agendas. It has registers, including the risk registers, members registers, advertising registers, whatever kind of register you need, it is all in one place. So as you sign on, as the user for the company secretary, it gives you a lot of options to open up certain pages, I suppose is the best way to describe it. Now, one word of warning here, when you are setting up a new company, you must use a very good and very simple naming convention. And the reason for that is the way Questos works, it's more like Google searching than it is in Microsoft, where you'd have lots and lots of trees in terms of directories. So once you've got yourself set up, you would put in, like you wanted the board meeting of last month, it'd be board 06052019. And then if that's your naming convention, then you put that in a search engine and it'll bring it straight up. So you wouldn't have to go through multiple directories to do that. So you can see down the bottom, board agenda for September board meeting. That's one of the things that comes with it. I'll just move to the next screen. This would be the board agenda, and you'd send out, you'd put in the board, and it could be a badminton appreciation club. We put that in there because not only can you use this for small to medium enterprises in terms of companies limited by guarantee, in terms of proprietary limited small companies, it can be used for sporting bodies. A lot of sporting bodies do like the format this takes because it puts regulation and regulatory controls around their sporting club. So in the board agenda, you would put down the meeting date, the meeting start time, where it's going to be held, who the attendees would be, and then it generates, the system will generate for you what you see on the right-hand side, and there's one more button which you would actually go to, and you put the email addresses of those people, and it automatically sends out the agenda to those people, stores a copy in the system, and away you go. So there's no need to do multiple emails. There's no need to actually print up and type up an agenda. It's all done. So you can see there, as you build, you can put more and more information in. Now you can see that the whole idea too behind this, with the smaller companies and with sporting bodies, we don't want to encourage people to write novels. Minutes and resolutions should be in short form and dot point, because it's about recording what was said and what was done, not about what one board I was on. It was an opera board, and they'd spend more time talking about the colours of the costumes than they would about running the business. That certainly didn't make it to the minutes, I can assure you. You also have a dashboard which you can use, and also this is for the directors, it's also for the company secretary themselves. You, of course, will be doing the work for them and charging accordingly by your hourly rate, and this is what they would see. So the regulator has to be advised of any director changes, and this will be in purple if it's completed. If there's changes been made in the system and you haven't noted that the regulator has been advised, it will warn you that you haven't advised the regulator, because you've got 28 days to advise the regulator, and if otherwise the fines start coming. They're not huge. It starts at about $70 and then goes to around about $300 after another month. But nonetheless, nobody wants fines. Whether the chairperson has signed the minutes and the company obligations. So the dashboard will bring you up to date with, is everything okay, yes or no? And when you see the blue signs, you'll know to delve deeper. If you see the purple signs, you know that everything has been done. It just lets you absorb down the bottom. You can see the annual review. That's a very important thing that companies must do on an annual basis. It'll tell you when it was done, and they've got to be done obviously annually. And there must always be a solvency statement in the minutes. So the solvency statement is placed in the minutes, and it will be then recorded here whether it's been done or not. If you were looking after a company that did actually have shares and share certificates, being a small proprietary limited company, then the system will generate share certificates and will allot them, and will allot them in the classes of shares which are required. There is a number of classes there in the drop-down box for people to, usually most people only use ordinary, but there is Class A, Class B, founder shares in there if you did want to have different kind of share issues. Again, that would be told to you by the board and the company secretary. You would then just do the recording for them and charging accordingly. You do not have to make any decisions here. You do not have to be an expert in this area. The system will assist you in what should and shouldn't be done, and the boards will give you the information, because it's, after all, their responsibility and not yours. You are doing the recording, a little bit like with the accounting. It's the company's or the customer's responsibility. You are just doing the recording for them. So it'd be the same here. Unless, of course, you decide you do want to be on the board, or you do want to be the company secretary, which you may be, of a basketball association. You might well be the secretary. So that might be a different situation. You might be even doing it for free. Because that's what some of these things are if you belong to an organisation. However, the whole idea is that you use this tool to add to your suite of products and charge accordingly. Now, the system itself doesn't cost a lot, but you would, of course, charge your hourly rate for using the system. Now, one thing we have done slightly differently, when companies pass resolutions, the resolutions are always in the minutes. And one of the things I've found in my company secretarial duties is, oh, what was that resolution we passed back in 2016? Do you know which board meeting it was? And people end up going back through papers and one thing and another. So what we do now is we actually extract the resolutions and put them in a resolution register, such that resolutions can be found very, very quickly, so that the company governance, when they've given the go-ahead on certain agreements, decisions, they can be found very, very easily. So as you can see, the layout is very, very simple, and that's the whole idea behind this. We want it to be elegant simplicity. We do not want it to be such that it's so complex to use that people get frustrated, can't find things, can't put things in their correct place. Now, things that must be done are things like conflicts of interest. Now, there may not be any, but there is a register here for people that might be conflicted. Sometimes I've been in a situation where there was a gentleman who was on a board of an insurance broker who happened to sit on the board of another insurance broker. Now, because they were friendlies, the agreement between the two companies was it was okay to do that, but you must record it, it must be in writing, and it must be in the register. So conflicts of interest in business are not, people are very, very fearful of them. They do exist. They're okay to have conflicts of interest, but what you must do is record them and mitigate them. It's as simple as that. And this system allows you to do that. You'll see on the right-hand side, this is a sample of the registers that are available. Resolution register, which I talked about before. The risk register, you must, any company must have a risk management system, even if it's only rudimentary, and you put the risks in the risk register. A member register, or AKA shareholder register. Actions register, the actions that either a committee or a board or that might fall out of an AGM. So you have a register of who does what by when. This is a conflicts of interest register. There is a contract and agreement register. The company that you're supporting may have contracts with Sharp because they are paying a monthly rental on a photocopy machine or a printer. They might have a contract with personal trainers for their staff. So all the contracts would be kept in a register, and the copies of the contract would be kept in that register. Again, all the company records are in one place. And the all-important last one, the insurance register. Particularly for things like churches will have to have insurance if people are coming on premise for a fete. So therefore you'd keep them in the insurance register. It would tell you exactly what policy was, where the policy is, and said details. Now this is the member details, and this is more, it could read shareholder details if it's a proprietary limited company. If it's member details, if it might be the Badminton Club Limited, or it might be a basketball club, or it could in fact be a not-for-profit company, which is like I said, an opera company, and all the members are opera singers. So the members' details will go here because the members' details must be recorded. That's in the Corporations Act. Again, something you would do, and you would keep them in the records, in the cloud. And of course, the applications would be sent out from the system. It generates an application with the member's name, address, etc. And then there is another screen which you'd go to, put in the member's email address, and it automatically emails the application to the member and makes the recording in the books, all in one go. A little bit like single touch, but not as complex. So, keeping company secretary details and director details is also important, and this keeps them in the cloud, in the system. You'll just keep the forms there, and it then generates a consent form, which is required under Section 205B of the Corporations Act. And that'll go out to the company secretary and or directors. They will sign and return them. And when the forms are signed and returned as a PDF, which has to happen with, obviously, some things must be done in ink, it's very easy to scan these, and then there is a section on the front page to actually save documents into the system in the cloud. So even printed documents get saved back into the system, and things like the Constitution get saved back as a PDF into the system. So we have capacity to put all documentation, not just system generated, but also PDF generated documents that are printed back into the system. Now that was the last slide. I didn't want to bombard you with slides, but what can be done, and I encourage those to do so, when you have a chance, and if you're interested, you can certainly go to www.questos.com.au and certainly open up a session. And because it's a 30-day free trial, you could put in, if you like, and we have no problem with you doing it, a dummy company and have a play around with the system. And then, of course, you could delete it later. Or if you're, in fact, putting in real details and loading up, then after 30 days, it'll ask you for credit card details. And you then put in the details of either yourself, but more than likely, your client's credit card, so to bill them directly, and you would have the sign-on. So after 30 days, you would have that choice. You could say, well, you know what, I don't want to continue, so you can close it down without having paid, or you can say, I would like to continue and go further on and just sign up. It's a very simple process. It'll come up automatically on your screen after 30 days. So I encourage you to have a look, because like I said, it'll cost you nothing. And it's much easier if you play with it than me showing you screenshots. I'd like to think, and come back to me if it's not, but it's very, very intuitive and very, very simple. And with all the drop-down boxes and pages that we've got, you'll be able to find things in a flash. I'll reiterate what I said earlier. When you do set up, make sure that you have a naming convention which is consistent. So if you like, board and the date, AGM and the date. And if you keep that consistent, then when you decide you want to go look at different board minutes, you just type in the word board and that all come up, or board and the date and the correct one will come up, or board and 06, and then if you've had more than one, of course you wouldn't, it'll come up for June. So search function is very, very simple to use. And it's very much like, for those that use Gmail and Google, and a lot of people do nowadays, it comes up and searches just like you'd search for your items on Gmail. Simplicity as opposed to directories. So look, I probably would talk for a little bit longer. I don't want to talk any longer than around about half an hour, because I want to leave time for questions, and also don't want to overcook it such that I completely bore you. But the idea, let's just recap. The idea is to have a system for all of the small to medium enterprises, which includes companies limited by guarantee, charities, sporting bodies, and small proprietary limited companies that have got the opportunity to now keep their company records in the cloud, rather than those lovely black binders that you see that everyone uses and gets lost and filed and given to Fred. That is the whole idea behind this software. And my plan for people like your good selves and members of accounting bodies is that accountants and accounting technicians take the opportunity to complete these records rather than the lawyers, because lawyers will, one, charge a lot more, and two, it could be something that the general practice may not wish to do anyway. I see this as a natural fit, and a natural fit for accountants and accounting technicians of doing this kind of work. And certainly our clients need it, because most of them don't pay enough attention to it, but they do have the regulatory responsibility nowadays, particularly as in the past sporting bodies were incorporated, and they were incorporated in individual states, and there was not as much regulation around them. when they now incorporate with ASIC as a company limited by guarantee, they fall under the Corporations Act as a public company. Believe it or not, that is still a public company. So therefore, the regulations are there. So accounting technicians can assist their clients with this extra function and therefore extra income for accounting technicians. Now, I might pause there and just see if we have any questions. If I haven't made sense, please tell me. If there's something else you'd like to know, please tell me. And again, if you'd like to have a closer look, www.questos.com.au. Can I open the floor to questions, please? Or comments, if you'd like to.
Sure. So Daryl, just so you know, there's a Q&A functionality. So if you click on the Q&A button, there's some questions that have come through from members already. And
okay. And oh, I see. Yes, right.
so
Oh, I like this.
answer live, you can then just.
Okay. Now, hopefully, people don't mind me putting this up, because you can all see this, can't you? So is that all right?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay. What are the fees? Are they recurring? Yes, they are. The website will show the fees. Normally, it doesn't show until you sign up, but the fees are $19 a month. It's not sheep stations, because this is more about smaller companies. So $19 a month, and you can either elect to pay for it yourselves and bill your clients if you would rather on cost that plus your cost of usage, or you can ask your client to put their company and or if it's a treasurer's credit card in to pay for it, and then you charge them your fees. However you do that is entirely up to you. We certainly don't mind. A lot of people do like to charge a monthly fee to their clients for this service and just absorb, well, I wouldn't say absorb, but pay for the cost of the software themselves and then charge out. And it makes it seamless for your customers to do that. Are the cloud servers maintained in Australia? At this point, the answer is yes. But if you're concerned about them being in third world countries, we certainly don't do that. I know exactly what you're talking about, because for cyber security, and we do have very, very tight security. Yes, we don't. There's no servers in Estonia or such like, if that's what you're concerned about. Is there a separate sign-on to each organisation? Yes, there has to be overall, because at the end of the day, each one of these is for each company. The reason for that is the customers themselves will sign on, like that is the company, will sign on, the directors and or company secretary will sign on to see the results of what's in there, what you will actually generate for them. There is a module coming, by the way, for that if you had, say, 10 of these, that you can go into your module and then just click through to the individual company records that you need, but you as the accounting technician would have that technology. That would not be available to the company secretary or directors, because they would only have one sign-on. I hope that's answered the questions. Are there any other questions? Are all the questions typed, or can people talk?
They're typed, yes, in these.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if I haven't answered the questions correctly, or you would like a different spin on it, please type in for clarification. So let me recap. So the fees are low, and that's the reason for that is we don't think this is something that should or could be expensive. We have put a fair bit of development time in it, and yes, we're seeing risk, but we tend to think that there'll be a lot of interest because there are 800,000 companies in particular, just in companies limited for guarantee, without the proprietary limited companies. So on a volume basis, we're hoping to keep our prices extremely low, so people will use them, particularly for sporting bodies and charities wouldn't want to be paying, say, the same kind of fees that you'd expect to pay for systems like, like Xero or MyOb or the such like. So Thank you very much for that, anonymous attendee. I appreciate that. Separate sign-on, yes. So look, that's really it. And the reason is not a lot to in this sort of tech talk, because it is, and we do believe it's elegant simplicity. It's how to manage a company's governance, not govern the company. Governing the company is still the director and the company secretary, but manage the company's governance in the cloud and keep a permanent record such that the ACNC or ASIC, if they were to audit, and they don't generally, if things are running smoothly, can actually log on and see the records are in keeping with the Corporations Act. So I'm hoping that you guys will think that this is worthwhile for you, because it is an add-on to your existing services. Because as we go forward with more and more technology in the accounting sphere, it does make it a little harder to maintain clients, and of course to upskill and earn extra fees from the business. So this is just another angle. We like to think it'll be useful for you, as we think it is for our overall clients.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Darryl. I think maybe we'll wrap it up there. If anyone's got further questions for you in the Questos team, where would be the best avenue for them to send those through to? Is there a contact email that people can use?
Yeah, very, very simple. Darryl with one R, Darryl at questos.com.au.
I'll just put that in the chat. So Darryl at questos.com.au for any questions. Thanks, Darryl, for sending a personal email. That's perfect. And just before we wrap up, if there are any last questions for Darryl, please type them into the Q&A now. Otherwise, feel free to go and demo the software. Like Darryl said, the best way to learn something new is to jump in and try it out for yourself. And this is a great opportunity for our members to add to their current existing services or complement something they're already doing for businesses around Australia. So I'd like to thank Darryl for joining us today. Much appreciated that you've taken the time to show us through the software. And a reminder to everyone that today's session is recorded and we will upload it to the Tech Talk section on the website. Thanks, everyone, and good luck with your end of financial year preparations.
Thank you, one and all.